Hey, welcome. Thank you for joining today. So let's dive in. Really, kind of every Wednesday as you know, we host. I send out a weekly teaching, and so now we're going to start. I want to start to do Tuesday and Thursday lives, kind of like a dive into these topics, and to be more really to kind of hear back from you more, to get more feedback from you guys that are our community, and to try and connect to you in a deeper way. So today we're going to look at 3 mistakes that people make with their health and then how to correct them. But first of all, I want to give you a free guide, the 4 simple steps to self-care. And this is kind of like our roadmap of stage 1 of our path to personal mastery. And it kind of lays down and enables you to integrate crucial foundations of life and of self-care. And so it's going to teach you how to do mobility and yoga to help ease chronic pain. You've got video tutorials. You're going to learn how to shift into a success mindset. You'll learn how to get the best night's sleep you've had in ages, literally. You'll learn 3 quick wins on how to clean up your nutrition for better health. And finally, you'll learn how to use your breath to calm your anxious state. So the link is below this video. Just click that and follow the instructions, or go to theconsciouslifecollective.com/4 simple steps. It's on our website. It's easily accessible. So that's really kind of the foundation, and it's totally free there for you to use. So and it covers a lot of these details that we're going to talk about today in depth. So let's dive straight in. 3 key mistakes that people make with regards to their health. And the first one that I see so often is that kind of people focus on counting calories. You'll see that most people are too focused on their physical, but we'll address that in a minute. But first of all, they look at counting calories. So calories are more than just energy. They're information. See food as information for the body. So whatever you're consuming, that is nutrition, but it could also be the conversations you have, the media that you consume. But if you're looking at nutrition, it's all information. And so anything you eat is going to create some form of hormonal change. Blood sugar may spike, those kind of things. So what can you do better than focusing on calorie counting? And typically people focus on calorie counting because 1, they potentially want to lose weight, and 2, most people want a quick fix. So what can you do better? And so really the first place to start is conscious choices. And all that means is understanding what's in your food. So just because, say if you're calorie counting and you have 100 calories of Coca-Cola, for example, versus 100 calories of high quality food. So that could be vegetables, that could be fruit, that could be high quality protein, whether that's plant-based or animal-based. Those 100 calories are going to have a completely different effect on the body. So that's why calorie counting it's not as simplistic as that. So what can you do? Like 3 things or 2 things you can look at. So conscious choices. What is in the food you eat? Can you pronounce the name of the ingredients? Have you got the ingredients in your home, or are they in your local health food shop? And kind of think of your gut when you think of this. Is it fresh? Is it whole food? Is it natural? Simple things, bring conscious awareness to what's going on with regards to what you're putting in your body. And then think of your gut. Our gut is a communicator with our brain and our heart. So for every 10 bits of information that go from our gut to our brain, 9 go upwards. So what happens in our gut affects our mind, affects how we feel, affects how we think, affects our clarity. So thinking of your gut when you're taking food in. So for example, you could start to look at, a first step would be to look at the main irritants or main allergens that we have in commonly known in food. So you can look at dairy, gluten, soy, sugar, eggs, nuts, and grains. Not to say that you should cut these out all the time. Ultimately, before you start to cut things out, get tested. Like if you're having issues whether that's through the digestion, whether you're having chronic diarrhea all the time, whether you're just feeling low mood, get tested. Go to a functional nutritionist or a functional therapist to just get some simple blood tests done. And then that way you can start to see if you've got any intolerances. And then just spend 2 to 4 weeks of removing dairy, gluten, soy, sugar, eggs. Simple thing. So conscious choices rather than counting calories. The second mistake, and this is probably even more common, is that people who go to a gym to exercise, predominantly from what I see, do it completely wrong, very, very poorly. And it's all about balance. And so if you can resonate with this or not, but high intensity training, the HIIT culture of training hard for periods of time, it's done completely wrong in most gyms that I see. And as you know, you may know, my background is in Olympic athletes as a performance coach and Olympic athlete. So this is why I see this and I can spot it and I can have something to say on it. You know, what typically happens is high intensity training is coached poorly. So the movements and the sets and the rests and the reps and all those kind of things are just poorly executed. The sets are too long. So the amount of work you're doing is too long. Too little rest in between each set. So if you're going to do high intensity work, that means high intensity, like all out. And then you need a period of time to recover. And when you're working all out, you can only work all out for a very short period of time. And so to be aware of that, if you're trying to work as hard as you can for 3, 4, 5 minutes, your work rate is going to drop off very, very fast. So what can you do about that? And as well, last thing, people's movement is often compromised. When you're working maximum effort, the first thing to go will be technique. And so technique underpins everything. It leads to poor technique will lead to injuries and overuse and all that kind of stuff. So what can you do? Create buckets of exercise. So you have 3 buckets. So the first bucket is your daily bucket, which you can put into that bucket. You can put in anything you do on a daily basis. So that could be mobility, that could be yoga. So for me, for example, I do 15 minutes to 45 minutes of yoga every morning. That depending on how early I get up before my daughter. That's really my main determinant of how long it is. So something you can do first thing in the morning to kind of waken your body up, to improve and open up all your major joints. It could be walking, it could be any rejuvenating exercise that you do daily. So if you've got a busy day and you know that you have got no other time, you know that you've ticked off mobility, you've ticked off some form of quality movement and nourishing movement for your body. So bucket 2 is think of it as technique. Okay, what technique am I going to do right now to improve areas that I want to get better in? So for example, you're looking at range of motion, you're looking at maintaining nasal breathing if you're doing aerobic exercise. So if you look at range of motion first, if you're working through squats and deadlifts and major movements like that, you're ensuring that you're moving well, you're bracing well. The quality is high, always high quality over volume. So volume being amount you're doing. So, and then nasal breathing, staying in a nasal breath. So you're just breathing in and out through your nose during your aerobic exercise or any exercise you do. Again, that's going to help you on multiple levels. But the 2 main things, one, it's going to help you become more efficient at using oxygen. So your aerobic performance is going to go up. So if you're looking for fitness gains and all that kind of stuff. But 2, you know you're going to be maintaining an intensity that's kind to your body. So that's bucket 2. Bucket 3, final bucket, is your high intensity bucket, so your hard session. So I would say just if 1 session a week, if you're looking for health, even if you're looking for, you're looking for performance, like performance and well-being don't go together. So if you're looking for health, then I assume you're looking for health span. We've all got a lifespan, whatever that will be. We can influence that, how long we live. But health span often gets ignored or not kind of forgotten about really. And so health span is, for me, how I see health span is the quality of life, how pain-free we are, how well we move, how well we can live in our body up until the moment we die. And so we want health span. I want my health span to be as close to my lifespan as possible. I don't want to be chronically ill, chronically in pain, all the kind of stereotypical things you associate with old health. I don't want a big gap between my health span and my lifespan. I want a close span. So if you think about those three buckets, you've got your daily bucket of rejuvenating, healthy, nourishing movement you do on a daily basis. You've got your bucket 2, which is your quality, your technical aspects, and bucket 3, which is used very, very consciously and sparingly, is your high intensity. And finally, the third mistake people make is that people focus too much on their physical. People look at the physical as health and well-being. They ignore mindset. They ignore mindset, emotional landscapes, even spiritual landscapes. And so if you think, mindset drives our behaviors, doesn't it? Like what we believe and what we think about, we end up doing, creates our behaviors. And so mindset is the biggest limiting factor I see in 90% of the people I work, 95% of the people I work in. It could be that you perceive that you can't do something. So your mindset is that I can't do this, I can't do that. But what's less easy to see is that the mindset is driving you too much. Certainly that was real in my case. My mindset was pushing too hard all of the time, which limited me in my health and my happiness, and kind of linking to the roles and identities that we all live, but the roles and identities that I was aiming to keep up at the expense of my health and the expense of my happiness. So what can you do better? You can spend time being curious with your mindset. Spend time, asking the question, why do you think the things you do? Not to have an immediate answer, but to be curious. Oh, that thought's come up again. Oh, I'm thinking that again. Why has that come up? And then you'll start to see, what I certainly started to see was I would have thoughts that would come up quite often, but I would start to, and I would associate with a person. And then all of a sudden those thoughts, I would notice those thoughts coming up in different situations. So that told me it's got nothing to do with one person. When it's starting to pop up in different environments, I knew that was me, because it's the same thought is coming up, yet in different situations. So be curious. Begin a breath practice. Begin a breath practice to learn, and most importantly, feel how your breath can affect the way you think and feel. It's so, so, so profound. 3 simple things you can do for that. One is not breath. One is you're being aware of your focus, your vision. When we're stressed in an anxious state, our vision becomes narrow. It's a narrow point of focus. So soften it. Either come into your peripheral, so start to look at your periphery. That's why nature is so good for so many reasons. The landscape, the panoramic landscape is just amazing. It allows us to come into a panoramic view. And the reason that's good is it switches our nervous system from a stress state into a recovery state. The second thing you can do with breath and vision is breathe through your nose. We kind of touched on that in the second bucket, breathing through your nose when you're exercising. Again, it helps switch us into a rest recovery state, or a relaxed state. And third, double your exhale to your inhale. So if you're breathing in 3 seconds, you exhale for 6 seconds. Control through your nose, and then just get into a process of that, maybe 5 rounds, maybe 10 rounds, maybe 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. Start to increase it over time. Small, you're better to do little and often rather than I'm going to do 20 minutes now and then drop off after 3 days. So they're the things you can do with regards to mindset, and they're the 3 mistakes people make. So the mistakes are calorie counting, are too much high intensity, which is not an appropriate intensity anyway, and it's poor movement. And then finally, just focusing too much on your physical rather than looking at your mindset. And so I hope that's offered some clarity. And I kind of want to open up to you to some questions. Like if you've got any questions on mindset, if you've got any questions on how to schedule and your exercise, or how, with regards to nutrition as well, then just comment away, put the comments in there. I just want to remind you before we get into the Q&A that, again, the link below, you can get your free guide want to give you a free guide, the 4 simple steps to self-care. And as I said at the beginning, it's going to help you with mobility, with the yoga videos to help ease your chronic pain. Lots of guided exercise, really profound guided exercise to look at how to develop a success mindset. You'll learn how to get the best night's sleep you've had in a long time. You'll learn 3 quick wins with regards to how to clean up your nutrition for better health. And you'll learn how to use your breath to calm your anxious state. So that's free for you to download right now. It's just below. And yeah, I'll answer some questions. So one has come up. What shall I begin with, a breath practice or meditation? So that's a really good question. I would say start with a breath practice because it's has an immediate effect. You can feel the difference immediately, and it's easy. You can do it anywhere at any time of day. So for example, a box breath. So you can start with 4 seconds in. So breath in, 4 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you hold your breath for 4 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you exhale for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you hold out for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you repeat maybe 5 times, maybe 10 times. That's baby steps into breath practice. Meditation is amazing. I practice meditation, like Anna and I practice meditation daily. It's a little bit of a slower, it takes a little bit longer to feel the benefits. It's difficult when you first, it's difficult all the time, but it's difficult when you start because it currently relies on blind faith that it's going to work. Because the moment you start to sit down, the first time you sit down to try and quieten your mind, you'll realize how noisy your mind is, and it's quite disorientating. So I would bring in the breath practice and something like box breathing or 4-7-8. Even just slowing your breath, making your breath deeper than normal and slower than normal. So good question. Any other questions? Can you go over the exercise buckets again? Yes. Okay. So if you like to exercise anywhere, but if you like to exercise in the gym, particularly if you like to go to classes, whatever, try and get some structure around your exercise. Linking to that mistake that people make, they do too many HIIT classes or whatever. Like people do, what I see repeatedly is that people don't do nourishing movement for their body. They just train hard. When they exercise, they train hard and that's it. They don't do any nourishing movement. They think that the warm up and the cool down is enough of nourishing movement, and it's not. And so bucket 1 is your main bucket, is your daily bucket. And think what you put in that daily bucket is anything rejuvenating, and you focus on the quality of that. So knowing that your bucket 1 is what you do every day, whether you're busy or whether you have all the time in the world, knowing that that always gets ticked off. So you're doing a lot of self-care, nurturing for your body. So mobility, yoga. So there are video tutorials in the free guide below that can put you onto this straight away. Or if you're thinking, what is mobility? What is yoga? Or how to do mobility? I know what yoga is. I don't know how to do it. In the guide, there are video tutorials. Just below, just click below the video. Could be going for a walk every morning. It could be doing some form of movement in your spine, something that's nourishing. You're not working hard. It's nice. It feels nice. You're moving your body in places where it feels tight, restricted. Bucket 2 is you're improving technique. So that could be, if you're lifting weights, that could be your barbell technique. You're improving your range through your squat, or it could be you're focusing on technique when you're running or you're cycling. It could be if you're cycling, you're looking to maintain smooth pedal movement, for example. It could be that you're aiming to stay in the saddle when you go uphill. So you need to change down your gears. You're going to stay in nasal breathing. So you're maintaining that the intensity is lowish and you're not smashing hard. So that's going to be like 2 to 4 times a week maximum, but I'd say twice a week. And then your hard session, I would say 1 session a week maximum, if you're looking at health. And they're just strong efforts with enough recovery between sets. So when you're recovered, you do your sets, whatever they are, and then you have enough recovery where you're recovering, and then you go again. So give you an idea of buckets. Again, another good question. Right, last question. Tips on letting roles go. So roles and identities, I assume. Yes. Okay. Well, the last podcast, episode 10, I think it was. How to stop holding yourself back. No, episode 8, how to stop holding yourself back. That dives into that content, this topic quite deeply. But quickly, how to let go of roles. Become aware. First of all, first place to start is become aware of what roles you inhabit. So if you're a parent, if you're a partner, if you're what you do as a job, what your friends know you as, what you perceive yourself as. Talking about exercise, if you perceive yourself as fit or as strong or as a runner or a cyclist or whatever, they're all roles. All of those are roles. And so they're not all bad, but to begin to write your roles down. Okay, I am a parent, I am a partner, I am this, I am that. And then start to look like what are your daily habits or weekly habits that keep you pinned to that role. Now, if you're a parent, obviously your child is going to be doing that every single day. But where are you restricted in that role? So, and be honest with yourself. Like I say, I'll point you back to episode 8. Episode 8 of the podcast, How to Stop Holding Yourself Back. But the first start is to write your roles down and then decide, how do they limit you? An example would be, for me, my role previously as a coach, an Olympic coach, was the fact that I was an Olympic coach. That was a role that I fought to keep at the expense of my health and my happiness and fulfillment. When I broke away from that, I allowed myself to pursue working for myself and working with Anna in this company. So yeah, there's a few tips on letting it go, but you've got to firstly identify your roles and then begin to look at how those roles affect your life, how they show up in your life. So thank you so much for this first live. There's going to be more twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1:30. And if you've got any topics that you want covered, just leave them in the comments below. And and see you next time. Thank you for joining, and have a great weekend.